welcome to the Sunday Afternoon Smokes Lounge, man.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You got a great setup here.
thank you. I'm super happy to have you. I'm excited to talk about donuts.
Yeah.
I'm excited always to eat donuts.
Yeah.
Who's not excited about donuts? If you're not, I'm not really sure that you're an American. I don't know.
That was a selling point for us.
Was it really? I'm going to skip the cigar today. I do have a cup of Joe. You've got water. And you said when you came in that coffee right now, was it just kind of like put you over the edge?
Yeah. We might get into that a little bit, but ultimately it came down to like, I was just overdone. I was stretched too thin and I was medicating with coffee and, it wasn't actually helping the problem get better, which was fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized I needed to stop masking the fatigue and actually feel it to be able to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I cut back from having a cup or two every day to now I have maybe 2 cups a week, about 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or almost 2 years ago.
I'm a little curious, if you're recognizing, I don't know. So you're under a load of stress. You're under, whatever's going on. You're kind of like using the coffee or the caffeine or whatever is kind of like the self-medication as you put it.
Yeah.
The coffee's not really the problem.
Right. Correct.
So if you recognize that the coffee's not the issue, but I have X, Y, and Z, why strip out the coffee?
It just, I think I was using it as a workaround, as a shortcut to try to mask the fatigue, but it wasn't actually allowing me to actually get more rest and function better.
I see. So if I get rid of the coffee, then I actually have to face.
Yeah, I actually have to like do something about like my lifestyle or my schedule.
Yeah. In
order to be more well rested, and then to be able to show up to spaces in the right headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made me drinking coffee a lot more strategic. So now like coffee has much more of, I was pretty immune to it, before, because I was drinking a lot of it, which is another downside. So now, only drinking it sporadically, like I drink it when I need it and it actually has an effect. And it's like, sweet, I really need to be on, I really need to be present. Like I office on Wednesdays typically, so I'm not on my feet. I'm like sitting down at my computer most of the day. So like I'll usually have a cup of coffee at the beginning of a Wednesday because I'm like mentally I need to really be like dialed in right now. And it really helps differentiate that time.
I've never known anyone that drinks coffee with a purpose like that.
Yeah.
I drink it strictly out of enjoyment.
Yeah. I really enjoy it. I kind of wish I miss it, but it's become, the value has been there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, before we get
quick tangent.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. It's a casual show, man. So before we get too deep into this thing, I like to just let my guests introduce themselves.
Yeah. For
people who don't know who you are. And of course, we've never met before 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So take a minute, introduce yourself, say as much or as little about yourself as you like, and then we'll get cracking.
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Ryland Rainsford. My wife, JP, who regrettably is not able to be here today, started Scout's Doughnuts back in 2022, just in our home on our countertop, and we've been running with that ever since. So we're kind of the engine behind a lot of the business.
Mm-hmm. There just seems to be something about all these small businesses that start at a kitchen table. Or
it's true,
in a coffee shop. Like that seems to be a recurring theme to me. The more people I talk to that had an idea about something, I was sitting down talking with a friend at a coffee shop about this idea. This always seems to be, I don't know, coffee's involved.
It is often involved. Or maybe, for us, like food and drink is involved.
Yeah.
Typically. And that's something that we wanted. We'll get more into this, but like we didn't know originally what business. We did not aspire to be donut makers. So we didn't know. We knew we wanted to own our own business and do our own thing, but we had no idea what that could be. It was like all over the map, the ideas that we had. But we eventually came to clarity that we think we wanted it to involve food and drink, because so much life happens around a table.
Sure. And that makes a lot of sense.
And like a table should not be neglected. So it's like, man, we're not going to eat in front of the TV as much as we might enjoy that, because like life happens around a table,
Right.
and we want to protect that. And you never know what might come from that.
No, you have zero ideas about what might come from that. So, like you said, never aspired to be a donut maker.
Yeah.
You know, you're not like a sophomore in high school and be like, bro, when
Yeah.
I get out of here, I'm just going to crush it. That's right. Donut shop.
Yeah. Nope. Not at all.
Yeah. Because you come from an engineering background.
Yeah. That's right.
Michelin engineer. And I've learned there's a lot of different kinds of engineers.
Yeah, sure.
So specifically, what was your lane?
I was mechanical. I studied mechanical engineering, I guess I should say, in college, and then I was a commercial truck tire designer at Michelin for 9 years before moving into donuts.
They're both circles.
Yeah, I've heard them all. I've heard all the jokes.
Yeah,
I mean, there are probably still some original ones out there, but I've heard
yeah, sure. No, but so engineer for Michelin in, would you say tires?
Yep. Commercial. Yeah.
Wife is elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
Were you just, what was the drive for you and your wife where it was just like, we just want to own a business? Was it,
Sure.
I mean, like, where does that come from?
Yeah. Kind of going way back, I think even to high school and college, for my part at least. I wanted to, I knew that in high school that I wanted to be an engineer, but ultimately I felt like I wanted to use that for something like some sort of community development, something small, something personal, something relational, not like big corporate career, long corporate career. That was not really on my roadmap for life. And then in college, my wife and I worked for a brewery in Atlanta while we were finishing up school, called Monday Night Brewing. We worked like opening night and helped out for their first year. And that was an awesome experience for both of us because we both got to work together, and we got to work with them kind of behind the scenes on starting something new. And then we moved here to Greenville. I took the job with Michelin. Someone had told me like, hey, this may not be what you want to do with your life, but it'd be good for you to like go get some like big company experience just to kind of like get your feet wet, get some tools in your toolbox in like a structured space while you figure out what, you're doing your thing might look like in the future. So I was like, sweet, I'm on board with that. Moved here to Greenville. My wife she was an elementary school teacher, but she got a job with a brand new school that was just starting here. So as soon as we moved here, she was like thrown into, first 4 teachers at this new school. And for our first 5 years here in town, she was kind of in startup mode with this school. And that was just another like huge experience for us. During that time, we also went from a very intense college, like senior years of college that were just like all out all the time with school and studies and projects and things, to then just working 9 to 5. And then my wife's teaching position was actually a part-time position. So we were just kind of bored, honestly. When we first moved here, we didn't know anybody here except the people that we worked with. And we realized we're not big on just kind of leisure. But we find rest and joy in building things and dreaming about things. It's kind of how we get like our creative energy out. And so we actually started a photography business shortly after we moved here, just to kind of, because we had time and we didn't know what to do with it. So we were doing photography and Michelin and teaching for a few years, and photography really started to grow. And that was our first time of like, oh, wow, this has been super fun. Maybe instead of, it kind of broadened our vision to, or maybe narrowed our vision, I should say, from we just want to work for, something small, something meaningful one day, to actually maybe we want to do our own thing one day. So we were, high heads in the clouds about what do we want to do when we grow up. And an older friend and mentor of ours basically told us we were asking ourselves the wrong question. He said, you don't need to be worried about like, what do you want to do? You need to be worried about who do you want to be as humans over the course of your life and as a family. And then let that vision for a lifetime of character formation, spiritual formation, heart formation, inform every decision you make about what you do or even how you engage with the things you already are doing. And that just like, man, made our head spin. So we took, that was in 2016, I think. And we didn't come up with the idea for Doughnuts until 2021. So we that whole five years was spent in a lot of like just soul searching and conversations about like, all right, I think we want to do a business. We want to live a principled life. Like, what does that even mean for us personally? What do we want out of life? What are our values? What are our principles? What would that look like in business? So fast forward to like 2020, 2021, we felt like we had pretty good clarity on like what we wanted and what our values and what our priorities are. But and that also made it clear that like Michelin wasn't the answer. Photography also was not the answer. So I was in so much turmoil because like as an engineer, you need to know the output so you can start like working on the process to like deliver the output. And we had no idea what the output was. And I wanted to just start working on it. I was like so restless for years. And then finally, right when we had like finally come to have some peace about that, of just kind of being in that space and not like wishing that time away. The idea of Doughnuts came along from somebody else and talking to some friends, and it just seemed to like check all the boxes. And so that night, after it was on a Thursday morning, I was on a run with some of my running buddies, and a couple of them had moved here from out of town, and like Doughnuts were part of their like routine in other cities where that they had lived, and they were lamenting the fact that there weren't any good donuts here in Greenville for them to be part of their routine. And that had come up before, and I was always like, whatever, like in one ear and out the other, not ever paid any attention to it because I had no donut nostalgia growing up. Like, donuts were not part of our like family routine. Didn't have any like memorable donut experiences that like changed my life, like nothing like that. But for some reason that Thursday morning, it was like, there might be something to that.
Yeah.
And so I pitched it to my wife that night in like 2 sentences before I went to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning and she had been awake all night. Just like her machine turned on and she's just like pump, like pumping out ideas of what it would look like, what it would feel like, what we would do, all the things. She'd already like reached out to people and like stalked other donut companies online. It's like, whoosh.
She went deep, like she did like right out of the gate.
She did, yeah, man. It was like the light bulb went on and it was real bright.
I'm curious because I want to backtrack a little bit.
That was a lot.
Yeah, which is totally fine. But you hit on something that I've said multiple times on this podcast, and it's something I've said to my children, and I will say it probably, I don't know how much longer I say it. It depends on how much it takes to sink into my children, but I am much more interested in the person they become than their vocation. It's much more important. And do whatever you want to do so long as it's morally respectable. But how your personal character, the condition of your heart, your relationship with God, how you treat people if you start a business, how you run that business, how you handle your employees, how you handle your finances, like all of these things. That is much more important than whether you're making donuts or taking photos or being an engineer for Michelin. However, what I am curious about though is this: you can still carry your, like, all of that as a decent, upright person and be an engineer at Michelin, or be a photographer doing what you and the missus were doing. So why do you feel like Michelin and your photography business didn't fit the mold for what you were?
Yeah. It's a great question. You hit on the central question of like, who are we becoming as people, and what's like our trajectory? Like, what's the destination we're moving toward? And that clarified for us, like, our destination is that we want to be remembered for cultivating growth in people's lives, in our own lives, in the life of the people like immediately around us, our children, any employees or team that we might work with, our friends, and more generally in the life of our community, neighborhood, city, things like that. So that was like okay, that's the polar star, like the direction we want to go. So what are some key characteristics that we feel like move us in that direction? So we believe the most lasting and meaningful growth that we experience as humans is our relationship with other humans. It's not the only means of growth, but it is one of the most lasting and meaningful. And so we're like, we want something that facilitates and cultivates human relationship. And for ourselves, that means we'd love to work with a team of people over an extended period of time. So where photography didn't fit the bill is that it was just us, and we had these amazing experiences with our clients, but it was super transient.
Right.
It's like 98% of the time after we photograph your wedding and that we're into wedding photography and have like the best day of your life, 98% of the time I never see you again.
Right.
And it's
transactional.
It wasn't necessarily transactional, because it wasn't like, hey, you just pay me money and I'll show up and take your pictures. Like, we were very relational about it and like really got to know our clients, but it was very transient in the sense that it was like everybody, it was just like a revolving door of people. Mm-hmm. And those relationships didn't last for the most part. That was something that was like, man, that was the biggest thing, where it's like, we might have like an acute influence on someone's life in how we help capture the onset of their marriage or the inception of their marriage, and how we demonstrate like healthy marriage to them and how we work together on their wedding day. But that's literally our only opportunity to have an influence on them.
Right.
We wanted more. If we change the relationships of the people, it takes time.
Yes.
So we wanted something that'll give us more time with people. And then we wanted something that could have a physical presence, both in the sense that we can passively create a space for other people to cultivate growth in each other's lives. So it's sort of like, man, we'd love to have something that involves food and drink, since so much of connection happens around food and drink, like we talked about initially, and provide a space for that, to have like tables and chairs. But also physical in the sense that it can have an influence on the community and the neighborhood, and ideally on like the larger city that we're operating in. We wanted something, so that was where like something around food and drink fit the bill. We also wanted something our whole family could participate in. So I do love to cook, never really done donuts. Friends had said like, man, you should open a restaurant. I was like, no shot am I opening a restaurant, because I don't want to work evenings and weekends.
Right. Because
that does not seem to fit with our ideal for our family, to whole family to be able to participate.
Correct.
So that was kind of a non-starter. But then the idea of donuts was like, oh, well, it's not really evenings. It is weekends, but it's like, it feels much more of like a family atmosphere than like a restaurant might be. That was also why photography also didn't check the box there, because like, no way am I bringing my kids to a wedding that I'm working.
Right.
We did it a couple of times, and it was
tough, man.
Thankfully, we had other friends there who helped take care of our kids, but it was still like, whew, it was distracting.
Yeah.
Also why like Michelin didn't fit the bill. Like, my kids, I was like in research and development. So like my family weren't even allowed to see my desk, which was then boring if they did see it.
Yeah.
Or to go see any of our manufacturing facilities, which were cool, sure, but like, nope, that's all restricted access.
Right.
And so it's like, well,
proprietary.
I don't want to just be like gone for 40 hours a week and then and that be something that not only my kids can't ever participate in, but my wife also doesn't understand. Like, we want to work together. We want to do as much of our life together as possible.
Yeah. I love that you two are playing the long game.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the dollars. It's not just about the titles. It's about, my wife and my husband and our children and instilling into my family and, of course, the people that I can impact these values that will change people's lives.
Yeah.
And eventually, hopefully they in turn turn around and do the same thing. And you're working to change some of the problems we see in society through this thing known as Scouts Donuts. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, another practical implication of that is that since we were doing this, we said we want to do this together, that also for me meant that, like, I don't want to work 40 hours a week outside of the home. My ideal schedule is for me to work 30 hours a week and then for my wife to work 16 hours a week or whatever, so that I can be more present at home with our kids.
Yeah.
And that has been one of the hardest conscious rejections of, like, the thing that would be easier for me. It'd be easier for me and a lot more comfortable for me to just keep working. It's really hard for me. My kids kind of do like this hybrid model of homeschool and in school. It's really hard for me to do homeschool with the kids at home. And yet I'm like, every day I have to remind myself, like, no, I'm choosing this because I believe that this is going to have a long-term positive impact on all of us, not just on them, not just on me. It's really challenged my perception of, like, what does it mean to provide for my children? Because that is a core, responsibility of mine. And yes, I need to provide, like, financial security, but really my kids don't want to go to Disney World every year. They want to be with me.
That's awesome.
Like, it's really providing myself,
right?
Which is a lot more sacrificial than
husbands
means.
Husbands and fathers, you should provide for your family. And of course, when a man hears that kind of language, we immediately think money.
Yeah.
But providing means that, but it means so much more than that. It does mean, let me put a roof on your head and clothes on your back and food on your table, but you're providing structure, you're providing emotional security, you're providing a proper role model for your children, whether they're sons or daughters, this is what a father looks like and a husband looks like for the future, or for how many kids do you have?
4.
Boys and girls mix?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's on the female side, it's like, I want you to, and they all learn this, of course, subconsciously, but this is what a husband looks like. And so when she turns 18, 20, 22, she knows what's the real deal, and she knows the difference between that and somebody that's just interested in her body.
Sure.
So you're providing a lot for them by making the choice to be present on a regular basis.
They also see a lot more of my
well, that's okay.
Sides.
They
but I do remind myself that, like,
a human.
Yeah, right. And how I respond to those times when I screw up have a big influence on them too. So yeah, those are some of the, like, things that decision factors for us, and saying no to security.
Yeah.
In order to say yes to more. That's what we hope for.
Absolutely. I firmly believe that security is a farce. Everything is secure until the moment it's not.
Right.
Whether you work a 9 to 5 or you bet on yourself, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You never know what the next 5 minutes from now is going to bring, let alone 2 months or a year from now. Your whole world can be turned upside down in a moment's notice.
Sure.
Just like what I shared with you before we started recording. Our life. So security is an illusion.
Sure.
Sure. And I think what y'all are doing is, it's honorable, and and you're building something really cool. I do want to ask you, you look like, obviously you've got, if you're a guy that has running buddies, that's your thing. You're a pretty fit guy. You're not, at Scouts, like, hammering donuts as they come off the line.
I eat my fair share.
Eat your fair share. I just found it amusing whenever you shared with me before the show that, or even now, like you have these running buddies, and donuts were like part of their routine.
Yeah,
And I guess everybody needs everybody needs a little release valve or something they enjoy, but I don't normally connect runners with donuts. It seems like you would eschew those things.
It's kind of ironic.
It is, but it's totally fine. Whatever people need to do to keep their sanity.
That's right. That's right.
I wanted to ask you about that. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it.
Sure.
Like when people come to you and say there's no good donuts in Greenville, and then you decide to open Scouts, and I understand this like on the entrepreneur side. I'm always I guess my default position is to be kind. I don't want to ever say anything about other businesses doing the same thing that I do. Like, I don't know. How do you walk that tightrope, like saying there's no good donuts and there's other donuts?
Yeah. I think maybe I phrased that wrong. They were saying more of like, didn't feel at the time.
Yeah.
This was also 5 years ago. Like there was any good, like kind of local donut shop.
Right.
There were in Greenville. There are a couple like in Greer and Simpsonville and Malden, some places like that, but kind of in Greenville, there wasn't really anything. There had been, there hadn't really been anything.
Yeah.
And so that's why it seemed like one of the things that people told us was, man, if you don't do this, somebody else is going to do it, which was a big motivator. Like, okay. Like, I think we want to be first.
Yeah, like if you it's a lot easier to be first than to play catch up. That's for sure. And that's one thing I did want to ask you is, like, how do you view because you guys are a local business creating a killer product. I mean, I had one the other day. But like, how do you view yourself in light of places like Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme?
You know, I don't really see us on like as kind of operating in the same field anyway. I haven't really thought about this a whole lot, honestly. I think right, wrong, or indifferent, I honestly don't think a lot about our quote unquote competition very much. I feel like we are just trying to do what we're doing well. And if it increases awareness of and demand for donuts in Greenville, then we all win.
Yeah.
And for good pastry, really, like not just donuts, because that's what we feel like early on, especially people were like, why is that so expensive? And it's like, well, I get it. You're used to like your QT donut or your Krispy Kreme or your Dunkin' Donut, which is a totally different experience. And so we've tried to make something that's more of a pastry, but call it a donut, so that people's kind of surpasses people's expectations. But there was definitely a hump there in terms of like price point. But all that to say, that's where I don't really feel like we're necessarily like places like Dunkin' and Krispy Kreme are actually competitors.
Right. You're making
they're just different options, and they have their place. I still enjoy a great hot Krispy Kreme now.
That's the only time I ever will. I haven't been to Krispy Kreme in forever, but it's, in my opinion, it's not worth going unless the hot now signs on.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to go to Dunkin', which again is very rare, I'm going to get a blueberry. Blueberry donut.
Yeah, they're so
killer.
Good. So
do they make sour cream donuts?
Do they?
Because I love a good sour
cream
donut.
I don't know if they do that regularly or not. I don't
Those
actually
are hard to find.
Is
there a sour cream version at Scouts?
No. We've thought about it, but it hasn't happened yet.
I think we'll just stop the recording. We're done.
Good ideas come from all over the place. But going back to your original question of like, so the people who I guess on paper are more of our competitors, how have we thought about them? Really, we've tried to really embrace that mindset of like, there's room for all of us.
Yeah.
And the more that all of us do collectively, the more awareness and demand, and hopefully the higher expectations will be for quality, and the higher appreciation there will be for quality. So that's part of like mindset going into it. And then the second thing has been like getting to know these people who run these other businesses that would be considered competitors of ours. And it's really hard to, I don't know, it's really hard to carry a lot of angst about someone that you know and admire. once you actually get to know them.
Sure.
And know what they're going through and know like what they're trying to do and how they think about their business and when you start collaborating with each other and things like that. And so that's where it's kind of been like kind of neutralized a lot of those. We see them as our peers rather than our competitors.
That's one thing that I found. Again, I find a lot of recurring themes the more people I sit down and talk to. There seems to be in the upstate area when it comes to the local people building things, a very pro attitude towards either somebody that's doing something in my same lane or like we all really want one another to succeed.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to undercut my competition or sabotage them in some way. It's like, let's just both do really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's encouraging.
It has been. That was honestly one of the biggest surprises for us getting into this was just how collaborative, at least the small business food scene and supportive has been in Greenville for us.
Backtracking a little bit, I want to get your reaction to your wife because the episode that went up yesterday, Woody Lyles, who owns Sauna House in Greenville. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I have, yeah.
Yeah. It's a killer place, man.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. It'd be a good place to unwind.
Sure.
But, you know, the guy was a civil engineer working on like a massive highway project, Highway 26 through Asheville. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. and he's like,
don't envy that.
I think he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna quit my job and open a sauna in Greenville. And his wife was like, are you insane? You're a civil engineer. You make good money. Family. But you are 2 sentences to your wife, or I'm going to bed, and you wake up and she's got like a whole business plan put together.
Sure.
Was that just like?
Well, yeah, that wasn't from left field. You know, we had been, that was in 2021, like I said, and we'd been scheming how we could go out on our own since 2016 without really knowing about it. Knowing that in 2016 is when we started thinking like, you know, toward doing our own thing one day. And at that time, by 2018, we had our first child. She had stopped teaching. We were just doing photography. I'd gone back to part-time at Michelin. I worked part-time at Michelin for 4 years. And so we kind of, we're already moving in that direction. We were just kind of waiting for the right opportunity.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what gave us a lot of confidence that like, yeah, leaving on my secure job, leaving my like prospects there, burning the boats, was like knowing what we wanted and being super clear about that and knowing and believing that like this was it. Like this was our ticket.
Oh, sure.
That didn't just happen, you know, that one night. It wasn't until a year later that we actually sold our first donuts because we needed every bit of that time to do our homework.
Right, because you don't come from a culinary background. I mean, you're I'm an engineer working in R&D, commercial tires. And so this is a year of testing. I was thinking earlier today as I'm pondering this episode coming up, and the kind of donuts you make, which we will get into it's not your standard donut.
Yeah.
And with your engineer brain, I can see how you would approach this as like a structural problem that I have to solve. Is that correct? So let's just do this. Let's talk about the kind of donuts you make and how you R&D'd that to get there.
Sure. Yeah. So when we had the idea of donuts, it was like donuts, just like it was the headline. There was no content. And so we were like, well, we feel like the definition of success for us is being unforgettable. So if we want now we use the word magical, but it's like if we want our experience to be magical to where you can't really put your finger on why it was so amazing, that means we need to serve the best donut that we know how to make, and with the best experience that we can provide. And so the only donut that stuck out in our minds, not being donut people, as memorable, was a croissant-style donut that we had at a wedding that we photographed years prior. And I literally, like, there was no other donut like that stood out in my mind as like, wow, that was an awesome experience. Just that one croissant-style donut. We were like, well, that's the only option that we have, is because like we that's the only kind of experience that we want to provide for other people if we're going to succeed. It also felt, so we got into it and it was like, oh yeah, like this is not only the best, it's also the most complicated and most expensive and all these things. And we were like, well, should we do that? And it kind of came down to, we're not afraid of hard work. Engineer mind, like it's just a problem that we can solve. And it seems to be the most defensible.
So did you start your testing from day one with Croissant-style?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really tried anything else, not seriously. I think I'd played around with like one or two other recipes, but no, it was kind of, we knew pretty much right away it's croissants or nothing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we took that year to R&D in our house. The guy who invented the croissant-style donut is a French guy named Dominique Ansel, up in New York City. It's only been around for about, I think he first put it out there in 2013, so it hasn't been around for that long. He put out like an at-home version of his recipe in a cookbook. So we bought the cookbook, did a bunch of research online, followed the recipe, made a ton of tweaks, a ton of like process changes and stuff like that to try to get it to where something that we felt like we really liked. And we've kind of locked it in pretty solidly now. But it's still challenging. There's still issues that we don't fully understand. Mm-hmm. Stuff will happen where we still don't really know like why that happened. But
in a year's worth of time, and you're just cranking these out in your home oven, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a pot, they're fried, so we fry them.
Well, true.
Yeah.
Hello. I think I should know this.
No. It was brutal.
Yeah.
I'm like 6 at a time. It was bad.
So in a year of cranking out all these donuts in your house, like how many donuts did you eat?
Oh man,
did you get sick of eating donuts?
Not really. But I don't know. I just like I think I kept myself from getting sick.
Yeah.
So I do a little bit and be like, yeah, I'm good.
I figure there's got to be stages of this, right? Yeah. There's got to be, all right, I need to make this donut and then fry it off. Mm-hmm. And I have to eat it without anything on it for taste, texture.
Yeah.
And then you begin to play with the icing or
with toppings. Yeah. We were kind of playing with toppings separately. And then every once in a while we put things together to kind of see how they added up. But yeah, it was kind of, I was eating a lot of untopped donuts. Yes. It was a lot of janky stuff we were doing. We were proofing stuff in our office with a space heater, and like, so it was great. It was a vibe.
Yeah. So what's the difficulty with the croissant-style donut?
They have 109 layers, and so to get that number of layers, we have to fold it 6, 8, 9, 11 times to get that many layers in it. And we stretch it in each direction, like over close to like between like 200% and 300% in every direction, because you're folding it and stretching it and folding it and stretching it, folding it and stretching it in all these different directions. And so you're just putting a ton of work into the dough, and it takes a lot of time. And so the biggest challenge for this style of donut is making sure that you're allowing adequate rest for some of that gluten, that tension in the gluten to relax. And then making sure you're keeping it cold enough so so the yeast doesn't start to activate while you're working on it. So you're working on it, you're doing a little bit with it, and then you're putting it in the fridge, letting it rest, pulling it back out, doing some more work with it, putting it in the fridge, letting it rest, pulling it out. We'll usually laminate. Lamination is like that process of folding and rolling and folding and rolling. We have somebody running our laminator in our shop for 7 to 8 hours a day. We usually do 700 to 800 donuts a day that we're laminating.
Yeah.
And so it's just a lot. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I
There's
understand.
a lot of places where it can go wrong.
Yeah, I understand the process. I don't remember how many episodes ago, but I had Julian Louet from Rise Baker.
Oh, yeah.
And he's talking about laminating for their croissants, you know.
It's a lot of work.
No, it is. And so I'm just curious. Obviously, I'm presuming here, but whenever you start testing, you and the missus in your kitchen at home, you don't have a laminator.
Oh, I was doing all by hand.
So you're all doing, yeah. So how was that learning curve? Because it's not just like you mentioned a couple of things. It's temperature. And let me do this. Let me throw it in the fridge. Let me do this. But it's also, you've got to have the right kind of butter.
You do, yeah.
You can't just like go pick up a few sticks of Land O'Lakes or
right.
or you know
yeah. You have to have high quality butter because you don't want the butter to. You want the butter to spread, not break, not crack, but you have to keep it cold. And we all know like cold butter is hard. So you have to take the butter, you have to let it soften. We have to reformat it into like a sheet, from blocks into a sheet. And then the butter's got to be at the right temperature. The dough's got to be at the right temperature. And then you're putting it together and you're doing all this stuff with it. And there's so many places where it can go wrong.
Sure. Having come to this place from photography, you had to break out the camera for the first finished batch of donuts, right?
Yeah, we did. We were taking our own product photos at first. I was also taking a lot of pictures of just like test ABCD with little rulers and stuff. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, are those like on the Scouts website, or are they
not anymore?
Or are they...
No, we upgraded. We've decided to pretty much twilight our photography skills and activity. So we hired that out now. We've got a guy on our team.
Well, what I meant was that like as far as the historical documentation of Scouts.
Oh yeah. We still got all those pictures. Yeah.
But the picture of the very first donut, is that online somewhere?
I don't know if it is. That's a good question.
It hangs framed over your wife's bed.
That's good.
Over the headboard, right?
It didn't look good, so probably should be just a reminder. Like, we still mess up a lot of stuff. But I don't know if it is. That's a good point. I need to pull some of those out. It was really special when we first opened our shop to the public. My wife put together a guest book that had like a lot of the history, and that's really a treasure for us.
Mm-hmm. And why do you call it a donut instead of a cronut?
Yeah. So the term cronut was what Dominique Ansel named his trade, and he trademarked it, which is the main reason why we don't call that. But there's been all kinds of like iterations of his trademark that slipped through the cracks as a croissant-style donut. So that's where cronut came from. We thought about that, and the intention there was most people around here have never had a cronut before. So would see that and be like, I don't know what that is. I don't know if I'm interested or not. But everybody knows what a donut is. Like you said at the beginning, what American doesn't love a donut?
Right.
That was part of the value proposition for this, is like everybody loves donuts. People are gonna continue loving donuts ad infinitum, in perpetuity.
Absolutely.
So we wanted that to be the anchor. This expectation of, oh, I love donuts. But then to the actual experience to be one of like, I've never had a donut.
It's an elevated. Yeah. It's a much
That's
elevated.
a totally different experience than I've ever had before. That was my experience when I had one for the first time.
What's this?
It was filled. It was a ring, but it was filled. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out how they did that. And there's like so many like options and things about it where it's like, this just blew my mind.
Well, my mind is already struggling because I don't know anything about the process other than lamination. Because in a regular donut, it's obviously it's dough and it winds up, kind of like bread, and it's got a crumb, and so there's all these little crevices. But in a croissant style donut, it's because it's laminated, it's layers, and so I feel like if if you wanted to fill that, it just kind of wants to run through,
which is exactly what makes it awesome.
And out. So
yeah. Well, it does create a shell. When you fry it, it creates like a shell on the outside. So that's kind of, if you put too much in, that'll bust open.
Sure.
But generally, because there's so much air inside, there's a lot of space.
There's a lot of pockets
for filling. Yeah, lots of space. And the filling kind of flows all the way around because the layers are all the way around.
Yeah.
It's pretty special.
But it's a serious undertaking. I mean, you said earlier that you've got people at the shop running a laminator like 7 or 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And this is a whole 3-day process.
Yeah.
For you. So walk us through what that looks like from start to finished product.
Yeah. So the first step is making dough. And make a big batch of dough, and then we can divide it up into the size unit that we need. And it has to, on day one, you make the dough, which means mixing it, and then you have to let it proof for a little while for the gluten to develop, and then you can kind of reformat it into the shape that we need, into like a sheet. And then from there, we put it in the freezer because you don't have to put it in the freezer, but that process of it freezing and then thawing really allows it to relax, so that when you go to laminate with it, it's kind of like you're starting with like no tension in it at all. If you were to try to laminate with it right away, it'd have good bit of residual tension in it already. This is probably more than you want to know. But so it's dough on day one, and then theoretically you can do lamination on day 2. And then theoretically, you can then do proof and fry the donuts on day 3. We are constantly filling our freezers, getting ready for the weekend. And so in reality, we're never using anything on the actual 3rd day, or rarely are we using something on the 3rd day. There's more, we've got like stock that we're managing that creates more space between like when the dough is made and then when the dough is used. It's usually a couple days. And then when the dough is laminated to when the cut donuts are used is usually a few days between those two. Because we're freezing and building up our inventory to then drain it on the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this stuff is trial by fire. You just do it and you figure it out. You finally figure out. So how was the learning curve? Obviously, it's not that you went from my kitchen to Scout's Donuts brick and mortar at your current location. There was a few steps in between. Yeah. But how was that transition from, all right, I've done this all from my home, but now I have this commercial space with these commercial elements, and and like you said earlier, you can do these things in theory, and that's where everything lives until you actually have to.
That's right.
Until you actually have to put it into practice.
Right. Yeah.
Was that a steep curve going from just my home kitchen to?
Yeah. It was a lot different. It went pretty fast. And honestly, it's just, I don't know, sometimes change is messy. And it was a lot of like, we're just figuring this out on the fly, which is not the way we like to operate anymore. But that's kind of what's required whenever I think people who've started things have all kind of felt that of like, I didn't know that I needed this until I got to that scenario. And then I was like, oh crap, I need this thing. And so there's a lot of those kinds of experiences that kind of add up. But yeah, we started in our home, and then we moved into a commissary kitchen, which is like a shared kitchen space with other cooks, where we were just like had like a timeshare for a few months, and then the Lord provided where our current brick and mortar is, and we just operated out of there, but just doing wholesale and events for several months as well before we opened to the public. So it was kind of a stair-step type progression of allowing us to add equipment and add people and refine our processes, just kind of a few things at a time, thankfully. So it wasn't like it was a lot of little steps rather than just like one giant leap.
I mean, you probably had to be pretty confident opening the doors to the public, because you'd been from the time you sold your first box of donuts.
Yeah.
And that was, if I'm not mistaken, based on what you shared to me, that was to Bridge City Coffee, right?
Correct. Yeah.
First box of donuts.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, you probably wind up selling to all kinds of places.
We did. Yeah.
And, over how long until that first box of donuts until you open the doors at your current location to the public?
About a year.
Okay.
Actually. The first time that the first time we sold donuts to the public was in our space was St. Patrick's Day of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like that Friday, Saturday only. And we had a 4x8 folding table in the front of our shop with an old tie-dye sheet over it. And that was it. We didn't have a counter. We didn't have anything. It was like basically run a pop-up like in our space.
Wow.
And it was amazing. Like, man, ever since the beginning, we made this conscious decision that like we wanted people to feel connected to what we were doing. And so we wanted to let them participate in even some of the messy parts of it, which is why we're like, sure, we're going to put a 4x8 folding table and a tie-dye sheet over it in the front of our kitchen that's like still very unstructured for St. Patrick's Day. And those people are going to love having that memory.
Sure.
And they're going to be loyal because they have that memory.
Mm-hmm.
And in the future, things are going to look a lot different and be a lot nicer. But these people are going to love that they knew what it was like back then too.
Well, see, those are all people getting in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Like they now have a personal connection
Right.
to Scouts
Right.
that some guy who moves to Greenville, next week and walks in,
Yeah.
it's just Scouts Donuts to
Right.
him.
Right.
But these people,
Right.
it's like part of my home.
Right. Exactly. It was humbling, but it was, I'm glad we made that decision.
Yeah. Well, you had a whole, your donuts are great. And so it was a big hit. And so, there had to be some confidence opening those doors because you had a year to build like a fan base.
Sure. And that was our hope, was that we would do this on the side and just show up, in different spaces at other cafes and coffee shops, at events, to the point where we were so well known already that by the time we finally opened a space, people would be like, oh, finally, not have this, oh, what's this new thing? But they would already be waiting for us to open our space.
Mm-hmm.
And that generally was true. And that was like, man, it blew our minds that, that was the story of the Lord wrote for us.
Yeah.
So we opened to the public, like just, full reach out hours later that summer of 2023.
Nice.
We did a few more kind of one-off events between March and June, but June 23 was when we officially opened to the public.
Mm-hmm. What's it like? Because I did watch the video that's on your website.
Good for you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I try to come into my show prepared and to have I come into the show prepared based on what I've put together ahead of time. I try not to do a ton of research because I do like a little bit of personal discovery in my conversations with people.
Absolutely.
But you just had to be gassed, man. Like, you're making donuts at 4 a.m. or 4:30, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Doing your thing, running to Michelin to do your job. Super stressful time?
Yeah, I got shingles.
Really?
I was kind of like, yep, that happened. It was pretty bad. Yeah, it was. We were also, we were not pregnant yet, but my wife got pregnant shortly thereafter with our fourth. And that was, it was a lot. There was a season where we had an infant at home and three kids already, and working 3 jobs, still doing photography, working at Michelin, and doing this, and trying to stay regular. But life's a grind sometimes. It's not a grind forever, but sometimes it's a grind.
Oh, it is a grind. Did you ever hit that spot where you began to question whether or not you should actually do this?
No, we knew this is what we needed to do, and we knew that was just for a time. And I think that's honestly where running has had a huge influence on my life. there's a lot of interplay between like running and other experiences that I've had, but like just running is an attrition sport, especially long distance running, which is what I like to do. Just an endurance sport. And it was like, well, I've been here before, and just keep going.
Well, like it's a great saying to remind yourself when you're in that season of life that happens to be a grind. And my wife has told me this before, but it's just that reminder that nothing's forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And we weren't, and so those are the two big things. Nothing was forever. Having this like kind of realist mentality of like, yep, this sucks. And this can't be a new norm. Which is why I know it's not forever. But then also really having a lot of support and just like Lord protected JP and I and our connection with each other through that time. Our friends and community showed up for us in a big way. And there was a lot of exciting things happening. It wasn't like this a grind because life is awful. It was a lot of exciting things. It's just a lot. But Lord's always giving us what we need. And he did in that time too.
Yeah. So what's your message to somebody listening to this podcast who's in a grind?
Hang tough and try to make a plan for how you can not let this become a norm for yourself. I say try to make a plan because like we all know that like stuff we tell our kids all the time, like that's the plan, but plans change. It's kind of like it's like this call and response at our house now. We do have agency over our own lives. And so, yes, like it was our agency that got us into this. And it is also our agency that will eventually get us out of this too. And we need to remember that and not just embrace this as like, this is just life forever. No.
Well, you have to make it what you want it to become.
Right.
And that is through your agency in making certain choices. And there has to be a finish line in sight.
Yeah.
Something that you're aiming for, and you can, I guess this is the plan, even though plans change, but like let me map this out, and I should be able to make decisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Accomplish those things, and then this grind will be finished.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so yes. So that I should actually say there's a big third thing too. So remembering this isn't forever, making sure it's not forever. And then the third thing is really being really intentional about protecting my health even in this space. A friend of mine who is just like an incredible high performance psychologist basically was like, it should be a much simpler question than we make it out to be, but it's what are the handful of like simple things that you can do to promote your own health every day. And he was like, for me, it's drinking enough water, eating healthy, trying to get a reasonable amount of sleep, exercising regularly, regularly spending time with my wife and community, and regularly getting time with community and staying connected with my wife. It was like, so that's just those 6 things, whatever. And keeping those simple things front of mind of like, oh yeah, I do need to drink water. Oh yeah, I am gonna, we're not gonna just go get takeout again. I'm gonna like reserve time to make a meal because that's helpful for me to like regulate and to make sure that we're eating healthy. Yes, I'm going to continue running, even if I only get to run a couple times a week, because it's important for me to regularly be exercising. Continuing to say yes to spending time with friends and to like JP and I just being quiet together or going on a walk or whatever, even when things feel insane, has been like super clarifying and valuable to make sure that we're we're being as intentional we're not just letting our lives take over us, our circumstances take over.
That's important.
Yeah.
That you're in control of your life, not the other way around.
I mean, sometimes it feels like it's the other way around.
I mean, there's,
but yeah, that I'm still being intentional about my life, not just like letting life happen to me.
right.
And it's simple things. Like that's what kind of blew my mind. It's like, you're right. This isn't like complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But they add up.
Sure. Is that what running is for you? Is that grounding?
In a big way, yeah. And community. I mean, like the guys I run with, some of the people I spend the most time with, and they're just amazing people. And it's such a positive environment, and such an encouraging environment. And there's so many life lessons to be learned from sport. And I think practicing those life lessons, like trying to live them out in sport, has really helped me internalize and try to figure out how to apply them in other contexts of life. Whether that be business or family or friendships or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just been valuable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I get to eat more donuts.
Yeah. That's the
Stay
outside. Yeah. Well, it just seems to me that running is I'm running, which means I'm not on my phone. I'm not having to answer emails. I don't answer text messages. I don't take phone calls.
Yeah.
I don't. This is like, in a way, it's just your time to forget about all stuff that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just having my personal time on this run.
Sure.
And just kind of, centering, so to speak.
Yeah. It's very regulating for me, or centering, like you said. And it's not only, it does clear things out. I think what it really does for me is it like turns the volume down on a lot of the things that are easily distract me from what's actually important.
Mm-hmm.
To where the things that really are important, like, come into clarity. That was where like the name Scouts came along, was on a run. Obviously the idea for Doughnuts came along on a run. There've been several times when like, I don't know, just some of the biggest things that I've like internalized from this whole experience have been while running, not while working.
Well, because when you're running, you're unless you're running with friends, but even then, you're kind of by yourself. I mean, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, but you're with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a moment. I guess it'd be like for me, in the evening on the patio having a cigar.
Yeah.
I'm not doing all the other stuff, and you have time to think.
Right.
And you have time to think about your life or your philosophy, or even those moments where you're just with yourself, and all the distractions and the noise have been gotten rid of, and it's a clear moment for the Lord to connect with you.
Right.
Because everything else is empty.
That's right.
And
that's what it's like. Yeah. Sometimes it's not like this incredible experience every time, but
yeah,
a lot of the time,
sure,
it's a lot of wonderful things have happened.
So were you with track and field in high school? Like, where does the love for running?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I actually hated running in high school. I played soccer and mountain biked, and that was a ton of fun. But then in college, didn't have time to rock climb or play soccer or mountain bike. And so I started running just to try to stay active, stay healthy. It's kind of a mediocre athlete at every sport I tried to do. And then I think in college, I found that I had some natural disposition for running. And it's like I said earlier, it's just kind of a grind. And I felt like I'm pretty good at like grinding it out.
I can't do much. What I can do is grind.
That's right. So I kind of embraced it. I'm like not very skilled, but I can grind. So I just kind of embraced it, and that's what I've been. So I didn't actually start in earnest until we moved here after college.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been great.
So whenever you go out, how many days a week are you currently running?
Usually 4 days a week.
4 days a week.
Yeah.
How far do you run?
I'll probably do 35 to 40 miles in 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Across the day?
No, like in a week across those 4 days. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. It's different.
It's not really, for everybody.
It's really weird. And I think like my wife and I talked about this. She was a volleyball player. She enjoys running, but like her knees got shot from being defensive specialist and just always get, dropping and digging.
Yeah.
And it's, so we've had to just like remind ourselves, like, it's not about performance. It's really about staying healthy, for each other, for our kids, for our responsibilities. And so whether you're running or lifting weights or swimming or walking, like, it's really about staying healthy. That's what, this is just the way I like to do it.
That's hey, whatever works. You got to find what works for you and do that.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, some guys it's lifting weights, some guys it's running, some guys it's whatever.
Right.
And you said the name Scout's Donuts came to you on a run. So, and this is one of those things I did not research for my like some discovery.
Yeah.
So lay it on me, man. Scout's Donuts, what is that?
Yeah, we the book To Kill a Mockingbird has always been one of our for both my wife and I, like, just one of our favorite books. And Jean Louise, aka Scout Finch, is just one of our favorite characters. She's the main character in that book. She's a young girl. She demonstrates just ability to see people for who they are and not conform to status quo or societal expectations around various people in her community. And so her kind of just like innocence and realism and curiosity have just always been very attractive and appealing to us. So we just loved that. So we felt like it was a great, like, short, concise, good vibes, familiar but not common name. So it stuck.
No, it's definitely, like, if I looked at Scout's Donuts, Atticus Finch does not come to mind.
Yeah.
Now I'm feeling like this guy's like an Army Ranger vibe.
Yeah.
Just kind of a scout. He's out there, he's doing his thing. How many iterations of how many names did you throw away?
I actually don't even remember. I don't remember any other names. I think that we were trying to figure out what we should name it. And I thought about Scout on a run. And it's like, oh, that's it. It's like pretty much easy. That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So I mean, there might have been others, but I don't remember any of them.
Yeah. I mean, coming up with a name for a business is not easy. And I went through a few different options with my with the cigar business, and some of them were really stupid and like, no, it's not gonna work, it's too cheesy. And the cigar box seemed, I don't know, it just seemed right. It seemed pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Cigars, I'm in a box.
Yeah.
Here we are, right?
What's the big deal?
It's off wheels.
Yeah, right.
But, and then Sunday Afternoon Smokes was like, my original idea was, I was trying to think, like, when can I do this?
Yeah.
I'm married and I had this schedule, and at the time I was in real estate and I'm running my cigar business, and I'm a divorced and remarried dad, and so I had this weird on again, off again, like every other weekend, like, and so my time is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, originally I'm thinking, what would be a good day of the week to record a podcast?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
nice
Sunday afternoon, right? Everything, people are chill. It's a relaxed day, a resting day. I can get people to come over. We'll smoke on the patio back here. We'll record. So Sunday afternoon, right?
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it, I'm like, it's not going to work, just because that's one of the few days I get to actually rest.
Sure.
And then I have my kids every other Sunday, and I'm going to protect that time.
Yeah.
But I really liked the name, so I didn't want to lose the name, and I figured I'll just drop episodes on Sundays.
There you go.
And so I was able to keep the name.
Love that.
And
it's awesome.
It's
a good name.
Thank you. And but of course, when the Lord just kind of hand delivers to you in a bow, right? So I have to put a lot of work into it.
I'm not going to ignore that.
Yeah. So when people walk into Scout's Donuts, man, what's on the menu?
We try to keep 12 to 13 flavors on the menu at a time. And that's because baker's dozen is a common thing. And so we want to keep it easy. Decision fatigue is real. So we wanted to keep it simple enough to where someone could just say, if there's 13 options, there's always the option of I'll just take one of each, and just like keep that, just like sidestep the whole process.
Got your baker's dozen. You got 13 flavors right in the box.
Yeah, roughly. So we kind of like a roughly run there. It would be super easy to be way too complicated, and then people would be disappointed if it was oversimplified. So it kind of feels like a happy medium for us. We try to keep 6 to 7 of those, or like classic flavors that are just always on the menu. Those are usually our top sellers, or just kind of the most have like the largest audience. And then the other 6 or so flavors are seasonals. And we usually keep our seasonals on the menu for about 2 months at a time. We'll rotate about half of this, so 3 or so of the seasonal donuts in and out every month. So you kind of have this leapfrog type cycle of seasonals coming on and off every couple months. Seasonals are inspired by events going on, holidays, seasonally available products, things like that. So we're about to, in May, we will have our fresh strawberry back on the menu. We'll have that all summer long because it's just like always a top seller, crowd pleaser. It's delicious. But then when we're recording this upcoming week, next Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo. So like this weekend, we'll have this weekend only, a couple Cinco de Mayo flavors on the menu.
You can have a churro donut.
We're doing a Mexican hot chocolate.
Okay.
Which is amazing. So good. And we'll do a hot guava, just like guava glaze with a habanero honey drizzle, and then a mango passion fruit with some tahini on top too.
Okay.
So it's like fun to be able to be like, yeah, Cinco de Mayo, like what's some fun like Latin inspired flavors, and then just be able to like play with that, kind of a canvas to play with. So that's how we structure our donut menu, and then our gluten-free donut menu is kind of a subset of both our classics and seasonally available flavors. And then we have a full coffee bar too. That's been something we didn't expect, is by anchoring ourselves as like this donut place that kind of created this misguided expectation that like, oh, we go there for donuts and we go some other places for coffee. But now we've got an incredible coffee program.
Did you not intend to have coffee when you started?
We did, but we didn't have it yet. And so that was kind of
because that's like a duh.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know, right? We had drip coffee, but that was all we had. And so drip coffee is not most people's choice if they're going out to get coffee, like you were saying earlier. Like,
right.
When you pulled out your AeroPress, like
pulled out the AeroPress to make Blackwater Roasters coffee right here.
So early on, we just didn't have the equipment, the capacity, the whatever else we needed to have like a full coffee program. So we started with just donuts, and then adding a coffee program has kind of been a hump to get over, of telling the world like, hey, we're not just drip coffee anymore. We've got incredible incredible coffee program as well. Bridge City roasts a special blend for us. They've been great partners. We're not the kind of place where you're gonna go find 3 different specialty single origin blends on espresso that you can sip and taste all the different notes.
No, this is a donut shop.
Right. And we're also not that kind of coffee program. We're more of like, we're gonna create some really fun coffee specials that we feel like pair really well with our donuts. So our Mockingbird is our specialty latte, one of our specialty lattes that's like a brown sugar cinnamon latte, and it's awesome. And then the Finch is our other like signature drink, and it's like a honey vanilla latte, which is also just like really subtle and sweet, not too much. And then we've also got like seasonal coffee drinks that are rotating every 2-3 months as well.
I'm surprised you don't have one called the Atticus.
Not yet. Who knows? Maybe we will.
It's in the works. It's under R&D. We don't talk about it.
We might at some point.
Yeah. So what are your staples? Those 6 flavors. What do you got?
Cinnamon sugar, chocolate, with either salt or sprinkles. Sweet strawberry, which is kind of like a strawberry candy type of flavor. Coffee buttercream.
That's the one I had the
which
other
is
day.
amazing. Man,
I mean, that's a banger.
it's really good.
It
was a seasonal, and then it was so popular, and we were all like, we got to keep this around.
Yeah.
So coffee buttercream, vanilla buttercream, and then Boston cream is now a classic. We had that as like just kind of, we had it for like 6-7 months of the year, and then we take it off during the summer, but people kind of rioted last summer, so we're bringing it back on us, just kind of keep it around forever now. And then I'm missing one. Oh, vanilla glaze. Honey vanilla glaze.
Yeah. Cool.
Do
you like you said, seasonal flavors make sense. When you get into the fall, do y'all jump on the pumpkin spice bandwagon? Yeah. It's just too popular to pass up.
Well,
right?
We do a pumpkin spice latte because you kind of can't not. Sorry for the double negative. For donuts, we've tried not to just, because one of our principles that we came into business with was like, we're doing this from scratch, as much as we can from scratch, because we want to have as much creative freedom as possible, and because we want to know what's going in our donuts, because we care about what's going in our bodies, and not just like
donut. What's going in our body.
That's right. But it's only like, our dough only has 10 ingredients, and they're all things you can pronounce. It's nothing. It's flour and eggs and cream and water. It's not anything like ridiculous.
Right.
So that means that we've tried to reinforce that. We try to reinforce that through our seasonals, in making stuff that's not just, exactly what you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we've got a cherry blossom. So it's like a cherry infused buttercream on the menu with a cardamom sugar rolled on the sides. So it's like, oh, I wouldn't have put those two things together, but it works. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then we have Samoa, like your caramel glaze with coconut and chocolate, because like, man, who doesn't love that during Girl Scout cookie season? So it's kind of we see it as a blank canvas where we get to create some crowd pleasers and kind of test out some different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of push the limits a little bit.
Yeah, that's got to be a super fun time, just trying to, and you take inspiration from, like you said, certain events that are going on, and you look around, see what's happening on social media, whatever catches your eye, what flavors, and then it's just kind of turns into the whole like mad scientist lab of what kind of flavor combinations can I throw together, which would lead me to presume that like whatever was on the seasonal menu for fall in 2025 may not show up in 26.
That's right. Some of them have to come back. Like apple cider has to come back.
Well, yeah,
because
apple
people are right.
It's a classic,
right.
But you might have.
But so I guess we're kind of in the sense now, because we're 4 years into defining seasonals now, where every season we have like a couple of the like these like heavy hitters are coming back. But we usually leave like 1 or 2 empty spaces for a new idea.
Tell me you're doing like an eggnog donut at Christmas time.
Man, that one's so polarizing. We've done it, and I love it because I'm an eggnog fan. But there's enough people out there who are not eggnog fans. Like this last Christmas, we didn't do it.
I had a conversation.
It dropped off the list.
I had a conversation with my pastor at lunch yesterday after church, and I want to bring him back and do like a special episode that we drop. Be an episode that's all about Christmas.
Yeah,
we'll drop it the Sunday before Christmas this year.
Nice.
And I'm like, he doesn't drink or smoke, which is fine. He's not anti those things if you do it in moderation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we can, instead of drinking spirits, we'll drink eggnog. Love that. He's like, I don't like eggnog, and I'm like, well, I'm leaving the church. See you. But I was surprised. That's kind of how I feel. Yeah. And then I have, funnily enough, I have a cigar in the cabinet here that it's called eggnog.
No way.
Yeah. I don't know. A friend sent it to me, and I'm going to save it for that episode.
Sweet.
So I have a glass of eggnog.
Got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah. And this eggnog cigar I think it's from a company called Ezra Zion.
Cool.
Cigars. They're a really cool company, very Christ focused on their cigars.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. So I bet the eggnog donut was fabulous.
It was really good. Eggnog's like one of those there's no better way of saying this than like milk fat is a great carrier of flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like milk, cream, butter like carry flavor really well. And so like putting eggnog in a glaze was just like you got so much of it. It was awesome. But being an eggnog fan, I loved it.
Well, how did it perform sales wise though?
Yeah, it was kind of middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Well, I mean, the people who loved it.
Well, sure.
But there's enough people who don't love it.
I didn't realize eggnog was that polarizing.
I know. I didn't really either. I didn't realize the world had come to this.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having a trouble carrying the conversation on right now. My brain is
a little bombed. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Are you familiar with the Donut Wagon? Have you heard of them?
Huh. I probably should be.
Huh?
I probably should be.
Yeah, it's cool. They I originally learned of them not too long after I moved to the upstate. I moved here in the summer of 2019 from Southern California.
Cool.
And landed in Walhalla.
Yeah.
And was just kind of scrolling social media. And I don't know. I think that's how I found them. It was just kind of like suggested for you.
Yeah.
So at the time they were mobile and had a trailer, and they would go and set up in like, they'd be at a certain parking lot in Seneca on the Saturday morning, or in Walhalla, or in Easley, or in Pickens, or whatever. And so I started going, and now they're not croissant donuts. It's just like a classic donut, but like they fry it right in the trailer, and they're large. They're awesome. Bigger donuts, but the other thing, I didn't hardly ever get their donuts because they also did fresh pretzels.
Oof.
And they were
awesome.
They're big. They're chewy, and they're buttery, and they're salty. And then they eventually opened a storefront in I think it's in Seneca.
Really?
Yeah. So if you ever get over that way, you should go grab a donut.
Donut Wagon.
The Donut Wagon.
Sweet.
Killer.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Man. It's making me hungry.
Let's wrap it up. Let's see what else we got here. Through all of this, what did you not expect when you started Scout's Donuts?
I already mentioned earlier several things. I didn't expect how supportive the community would be. That it just like happened so much faster, both like from consumers and from other businesses. It just was overwhelming how supportive everybody was. It went so much faster than we had originally planned, because of the overwhelming support. So it's like one thing, I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't necessarily know how, like in what ways it was going to be hard. And so like there have been times when it's like, wow, I did not think that this aspect would be this hard. Particularly around people, which I should have expected. Because that's why we got into this in the first place. It's for our people. Trying to think of what else.
It's all right.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah. What have you feel like it's cost you anything?
Yeah, for sure. It's cost a lot of comfort, I guess I could say. And I think kind of underneath that definition of comfort also just comes with like security, which is pretty obvious. But also just, I don't know, like I've faced a lot of like more just kind of fundamental stressors than I had ever experienced before. There's not really any way to sugarcoat this. Like, you don't even make a lot of money in donuts. Like the Lord has provided like everything we've needed, and has provided what we need. And that, but there have been times when it's like, I don't know how this is all going to add up. Like, I don't know where it's going to come from. But the Lord's provided every time.
Yeah.
And, that has been like, we knew that we theorized, like we talked about earlier, this was going to be the case. But when it came to reality, I was like, oh man, it was a lot more, a lot harder. than I expected. A lot more stressful, just a lot more fearful. But we wanted, it's in those times when I've had to remind myself of like, what we prayed for in this was that this would lead to an increase of faith for us. And I feel like we're exercising those muscles. And this feels like more of, going back to the running analogy, like I'm tired because we're like in the middle of a hard workout right now. Not because something's about to break, but because this is just really hard. But it's really hard because we're working hard toward a good goal. And having to remind myself of that, of like, this isn't really hard because something's wrong. It's really hard because it's hard, and that's how we get stronger. Has given us a lot of hope.
Yeah. If you probably could tell, I don't really go to the gym. Whatever. But I remember my wife telling me something. I'll never forget it. I think I was on one of those elliptical machines, torture devices.
Whatever. Right.
And I'm huffing and I'm puffing and I'm tired and I'm ready to just be done. And she just told me, your mind will quit before your body does.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a mental game.
It's true.
That we play.
It's very true.
And it's just like, just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like back to what you said a minute ago, like this is the trade-off. I'm going to leave engineering at Michelin to start Scout's Donuts, which means I'm going to leave this. We've got, I'm here, I'm punching the clock, or I'm, salary, whatever it is, but it's guaranteed money. And that equals in our minds security. But I'm lacking personal gratification, personal fulfillment. So I'm going to throw away the security and the guaranteed income and do this. And so I'm just going to, based on everything you said, there's an educated guess here that is, we're living in faith and it's been hard and we're asking the Lord to provide, but the personal fulfillment that my life is now meaningful outweighs. You feel that way?
Yeah, we still don't have any hesitation about like, was this the right move? Was this the right decision? Yeah, we don't second guess that decision at all. I literally was just been thinking about this. I was talking about this with a friend yesterday. Like, I'm 38 years old. Our first dog just died a few weeks ago. And it just like, I don't know. It was just like the big impression that left on me was like finality. Like life is finite and we only get so much time. And I'm in the second half of my life now, like pretty much. And just like, gosh, I don't want this to go quietly. So like, what does like living a full second half of my life look like, when the second half of my life is probably going to include, most definitely is going to include a lot more loss than the first half did. So like, not letting the second half of my life be defined by loss or defined by sadness or whatever, but still like it just being even more full than the first half of my life. And more fun, more wealth, more health don't seem like they're the answer to living out the second half of my life well. Fully knowing that like people are going to die and things are going to change and kids are going to leave and it's just like, so what is it? And it seems like our sermon yesterday was actually just on this. It's like, man, it's knowing God and becoming more intimate with him through our suffering and like moving closer to the people we love.
That's what matters.
And that's what matters. And this has allowed us to do that. Like, to move closer to the people that we love, to grow in our reliance upon the Lord, our dependence upon Him when we don't know how we're going to make ends meet, and we don't know how this situation with this employee or whatever is going to pan out. We don't know how this deal is going to go down. So even though it's hard, it feels like this is right. Like this is good. And it's hard.
Yeah. It's okay that it's hard.
It's okay.
It's just how it is, you know?
No, nobody ever said that like good means easy.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
At least there's no truth behind that, I should say.
Well, see, like there's people, and you know this to be a fact, there are people in this world making more money than they know what to do with, and they lay their head down at night and wonder what in the world they're doing with their life.
Yeah.
Because they're empty.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like you just said, the things that matter in life are much more metaphysical.
Mm.
It is that relationship with God through Christ. It is the relationship with your wife and your children. It's people.
Yeah.
It is people in good relationships that bring contentment and joy and impact.
Yeah.
It's not how many dollars I can put into a bank account or
Right.
into a Roth IRA or a 401k.
Right. Right.
You know, and that can all be gone in a flash, but so can people.
True.
You know, and it's just make the most of the time you have with the people that you love.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what we're trying to do.
That's what we're trying to do, man.
Yeah.
So, we'll ask you what does it cost you? What have you gained?
Time. I mean, in a real way, like gained more time with my kids, more connection with JP, my wife. We share so much of life now, that like, even though we have, we're responsible for different parts of the business, like we are running this business together. And so like we can talk about everything, all the people we both know, all the context we both know, all the situation we both know. It's not like me talking about these people at the office that my wife is like maybe met at the Christmas party last year and kind of vaguely remembers who they are. So that's been really sweet. It's just like being even more connected with JP. And then, like I said, time with my kids. It is, it's a privilege to be able to provide meaningful employment for other people, and to walk with other people through the means of growth. It's hard, it's messy, but it's really, it's a real privilege. Get to do more of that.
Do you ever feel like you're a
imposter? Yes.
No, not
yes.
No, like, do you ever feel like you're taking on the role of another dad? Some of these young people that work.
No.
For you, I don't know. Maybe
thankfully,
that's not the right
no.
word,
Thankfully not. I think that would probably not be. I don't know. Not be healthy. But the role of like having an influence.
Yeah.
And hopefully a positive influence.
Mentor.
Yeah, even in the way that I mess up. That's been a privilege for sure. I've also just gained a lot of community. It's a real privilege to be able to just kind of like be connected with other people who are trying to do things well in the city. It's a real privilege to feel like we actually can have an impact on the spaces that we love and care about, on the city, on the neighborhoods, streets, in the communities, in a differentiated way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real privilege to have something that we feel like transcends us. That's what we wanted early on, something that could be bigger than just the two of us. And it's incredible to see how our team and our community have really like embraced it to the extent that it can never just be about me and JP again anymore.
Yeah.
It's already beyond that, which is a real sweet privilege.
Mm-hmm.
just see other people like catch the vision and buy in.
I think it's great what you said and what you've gained, and you'll understand, and the people will understand. I just don't know any other way to say it. When you say you've gained time, I mean you have recovered some time with your wife and your children that you otherwise would not have had if you were still at Michelin. But time is the most valuable of all the assets. It's the one thing you never get more of. I can make more friends. I can make more money. I can make more of anything, but time,
no,
I can't. You know,
for sure.
And to be able to get those extra hours with those people is it's immeasurable.
It is. It's really special.
What would you tell to another couple thinking about launching something together? You know, what advice would you give them, or what would you tell them?
I think this is more broad to like anybody who is making a decision together, just making a decision, especially a big decision. Let's make a principled decision, not just a practical one. Someone else kind of summarized it that way, which has been really helpful for me, of like, make decisions based on your principles, not just on the data of the circumstances or whatever. And then for couples particularly, don't neglect to do the work of like staying connected with each other as you try to work together. It's easy for me to forget that like before we started Doughnuts, we did photography for 6 years. And so we had to figure out how to work together for someone else through that time, to where then when we came into Doughnuts, like we kind of had, we'd kind of had already developed those skills, set those rhythms, figured out how we talk to each other, how we share responsibilities, how we differentiate responsibilities, how we define lanes between like what's JP's and what's mine. A lot of that groundwork was all laid over during that time we were doing photography. And it's easy for me to forget how much work that was, and how much time that took. So particularly, I would say reserve time to have and space to have the conversations that either aren't appropriate or won't naturally occur around the dinner table or while you're lying in bed at night or things like that. Some conversations just like they're too big, they're too complicated to have in those contexts. You kind of need to reserve time to almost have a meeting to like talk about the big stuff. And so that was like a routine that we had early on. We'd go walk downtown, had a couple places we'd love to sit. And that's where we would like talk about all the stuff that we didn't talk about throughout the week. And it was such a relief for us to know that we had that space. So like, yes, I've got this thing on my mind. I want to talk to you about it. And I know when we're going to talk about it. So I don't need to like tiptoe around it right now or see if it's a good time. Just like, yep. Let's put a pin in that. Talk about it on Sunday. It's kind of like that's had to change, as kids have come along and life has changed. But that routine early on, I think, set us up for a lot of success that we've experienced since then.
Yeah. What is the division of labor between you and the business?
I'm primarily like kind of CEO over I hate using terms like that, but like kind of oversee, like just kind of have eyesight on everything.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like how we're spending our money, which obviously has implications everywhere. But then more functionally, I'm like operations. Everything behind the scene is me. And then everything that you see and feel and touch, both physically and online, is JP. And kind of like the people that she works with.
She's like,
she's customer facing.
Product.
Yeah. She's guest facing and I'm internal.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah.
It just seems to be very engineer oriented to go to operations. Makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Use your strengths where you're most effective.
And she's kind of she's like the dreamer in our relationship. So she's like, we're going west. I don't know what we're going to find. I don't know what we're going to do. We're just going west.
We're just going.
Because it's going to be awesome. And I'm more like, okay, I can like figure out how to get us there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get there and like start to set up shop, I start to get bored. But it's been valuable for us to kind of like distinguish how we both process ideas and approach information and learn how to talk about things like that.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds really good. Like, I mean, it obviously it helps that you and your wife have that history of operating this photography business together. And then, okay, now it's a different iteration, but it's the same people doing this. So we kind of figured out how we've worked. Every marriage has its difficulties, you know. What should people avoid if they're gonna co-own a business with their spouse?
Ignorance. It's so easy to just be like business, and neglect trying to know yourself, trying to understand the other people you work with, especially your spouse. So definitely avoid ignorance. Invest in knowing yourself and invest in understanding the person you're working with. That we spent a lot of time in all those years of like trying to figure out what our values were. Like that was also a lot of like self-discovery in that time too, of like, why do I react the way I do in certain situations? Why do I show up the way I do in situations? Why do you show up the way you do? Why does the way that I say things, why do you receive that in that way instead of the way that I intended? Like all that kind of stuff. Like that's real work.
Oh my gosh. See,
it pays dividends for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So don't neglect it.
Communication's wild, man. There's so many layers to it. You know, there's
so many layers.
There's what you're thinking in your head that you want to say. And then there's what you actually say.
Yeah.
And those may not be the same.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's something like 80% of all communications nonverbal. You know, so it's like, what's the posture with which you say it, the tone of your voice, and are your eyebrows raised or lowered? Like,
what's the intonation?
Right. You know, so what am I thinking? What am I actually saying? How am I saying it? Then it is to the person receiving. What did they hear me say?
Yeah.
And then what do they think about what they heard me say?
Right.
There's like 5, 6, 7 different layers of communication.
I know.
And it
can go wrong at any point.
Oh yeah.
Or at multiple points.
Yeah. Absolutely.
For sure.
I think it's my last question. You're building, you and your wife are building something, again, really cool with everything you said. That it's not just, I mean, the donuts are the medium, but it's so much more than that. And your kids are part of this, and they're watching this thing happen.
Yeah.
In 30 years from now, man, what do you want your kids to have taken away from Scouts Doughnuts?
I hope they learn that they can live to they can have a full life in any vocation, or just about any vocation. Kind of going back to the very beginning of our conversation of like, it's really about who you're becoming as a person and carrying that mindset into whatever you might find yourself doing with your hands or your brain or whatever. Means that you can do most things, just about anything, to the glory of God, and like that they see that is like deeply instilled in them. That like whether they become a doctor or a plumber or whatever, like that they carry that of like, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm doing this to the best of my ability. I'm doing this to honor the Lord. That they learn a good work ethic, hard work ethic. Kitchens are really valuable for that. It's hard work working in a kitchen, and I think they're all going to go through the kitchen. that they learn strong interpersonal skills. Being able to communicate in a kitchen is really important. Being able to communicate with customers can be really challenging. And I hope that they feel like we were in it together. Like they weren't neglected, but that like we were doing this and largely in order to share more life with them. Yeah, there's a lot more, but I'm not really sure how to say it or where. That's like one I need to write about to like think about it thoroughly. That's a good question.
Well, writing is a premier skill that if you want to order your mind, writing is the way to do it.
Yeah.
The mind is very, it's like this maelstrom, this nebulous, just vortex of things, and then trying to put those in order and putting a pen to paper orders those thoughts. It's bringing order out of chaos. But it's also it's not just order. It's an exercise in exploration. Because as you begin to write, you flesh out thoughts, and then you might have to go back and reorder some things on the paper. But it's
it's been, I don't know, it's a practice I've had to start prioritizing. As life has gotten more chaotic.
That brings some order to it. Yeah. All right. One other question, and then I'll wrap it up.
Sure.
If you could hit the rewind button, or maybe not the rewind button, if you could go back in time, 5-7 years ago, before Scouts became a thing, what do you tell your younger self if you go visit him face to face?
Knowing where I was back then, I would have encouraged myself to not wish that time away. Not spend so much time preoccupied with what was next. I was so restless during those years, trying to figure out where we were going, what we were doing. And that made me anxious, which made me not show up well for JP and our kids, which made me neglect learning how to be a good friend. Just lots of things that involved being present, which I missed out on. It took somebody else basically telling me that near the end of that time, which like finally brought peace to that kind of that churning in my mind. And then it was just a couple months later that the idea for Scouts came along.
Nice.
Finally, after all that time. So I wish I heard that earlier.
Sure. So is what's next really not a preoccupation of your mind?
Oh, no, it is. It is. No, don't ask. I mean, because now it's like, now that we know this is what we're doing, it is always about like, we spend a lot of time thinking about like, this is what we're doing, but like, where are we going? And are we moving toward, where we want to go?
Yeah.
Scouts is not with one location, or really like two locations, with our main shop on East North and then our downtown window. We're not really at like cruising altitude yet, to where we could just keep doing the last 3 years over and over again and we'd be fine. It's a scale business, it's a volume business. So we need to increase our scale a little bit more, to be able to get to where we feel like we could keep just running this playlist over and over again for the next few years and things would be okay. So that's really kind of the problem we're trying to solve right now. The trajectory we're on is figuring out, it's still climbing to get to cruising altitude.
Yeah, we got to get to 30,000 feet.
Looks like a couple different things, like some incremental growth here and there. And then I don't know when this is gonna air.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few weeks.
But we have signed a lease on another space.
Oh, nice.
I'm not gonna say where.
Yeah, no, we'll keep that. Yeah,
we have signed a lease on another brick and mortar, so we're excited about that.
Nice. Congratulations,
Thank
man.
you.
That's awesome.
It's taking up a lot of brand space now.
Yeah. So just to close it all out,
Yeah.
Give us the run. Give us the locations, the hours,
Yeah.
the social media handle,
Yeah,
all that stuff, so people can follow.
I'll go in reverse order. So at Scouts Doughnuts, donuts spelled DOUGHNUTS. I don't want to spell the short way because we don't really feel like there's anything abbreviated about our product or experience. So Scouts Doughnuts. Email is hello@scoutsdoughnuts.com if you have any questions or want to reach out to us for anything. We have currently 2 locations. We have our main location is on East North Street near downtown Greenville. And we're open there Tuesday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then we have a little window on Main Street, right at the corner of Main and Washington, down in downtown Greenville, which is super fun. We're there on also Tuesday through Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then starting in May through probably November, we'll also be open for late night down there, Friday and Saturday night, 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's a fun time.
Yeah,
I don't work during those shifts.
No, but I mean, you're hanging out late. The guy and the girls have done your thing. It's like
it's fun vibes.
Little 1 a.m. donut acting. Yeah,
it's good vibes.
That's awesome.
It's a fun time. So we've got our full coffee and donut menu at our East North Street location. Our downtown location, we actually are adding. We have our full coffee program there too now. That's a new thing. And then we have kind of like a consolidated list of our donut flavors.
Yeah,
we don't do the full set down there, but it's close.
Oh, I was in your shop the other day, and I'm always curious about this. Like, what happens to all the donuts at the end of the day that don't get sold?
Yeah, so some of them, if they are shelf stable, some of our toppings we don't feel great about leaving them out overnight and then serving them again, like vanilla pudding and our Boston cream. Like, I don't feel great about that. So some of them, at the end of the day, if they're not sellable the next day, we'll donate them to a couple after school programs that we are partnered with.
God, you gotta love being an after school kid and that thing, the Scouts Donuts.
It's a great outlet, man. It's like, we're so grateful for that. There's 3 different after school programs that we've kind of partnered with, 3 or 4, and one of them is usually always up for it, which is great. And then, but if they are shelf stable, we'll sell them the next day at a discount.
Yeah. It's like the old bread kind of thing.
And usually that's a fun, like, people are like, oh, sweet.
Oh, into that. Take that home, pop.
They're still delicious.
Microwave for.
They're not quite as crispy as they usually are. It's humid in South Carolina, but they're still really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, man, I've covered everything that I had.
A lot.
Yeah, we did a lot. It was super fun.
That was fun. Thank you.
Anything you want to hit that we didn't touch on?
I think we got it.
Awesome.
That's great.
Well, give Scouts a follow online, but more than that, show up, buy a donut or 5 or a baker's dozen and a cup of Joe. Y'all just do like straight regular coffee. It's not all
we do.
like
yeah, we do regular coffee too.
Yeah, go get some donuts. Thanks for watching or listening to Sunday Afternoon Smokes. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it on your socials, and share it with the world. Because Sunday Afternoon Smokes is really sweet. Ryland, thanks for making the time to sit down with me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Chris. Likewise.
All right, we'll see you soon.